Good evening and welcome to the Formula Racing League Assetto Corsa Competizione. Round 8 of the Taco Tuesday series takes us to Misano in Italy. Tom Kenshaw, commentator, providing you with all the details for tonight's action as we are geared up for the run-in of this season's title battle that realistically has 5 drivers in the run-in who could be champion by the season's end in Kyalami in just a couple of weeks. Well, one driver, he'll be going into this round a little bit downbeat, although he may not be feeling downbeat too much, is the man in your picture, Melvin Crows, otherwise known as MGK, who took the victory on track last time out at Nürburgring, only to be given a time penalty for causing a collision with Mauro Arsenio at the last corner on the penultimate lap of the race. The time penalty had dropped him to 3rd position, and he is finding himself with some work to do to keep himself in championship contention. And not only that, he collected a couple of points for the contact, which has contributed to exceeding his licence tally, enough to give him a qualifying ban for tonight's race, which means he'll start from the back of the grid no matter what. That'll make his job even harder for this evening. It'll make it more interesting for the spectators, including myself. I'm sure he'll be up for the challenge no matter what. Going into tonight's race, Sean Cole is leading the championship by 5 points over Ahmed Aldori and Mauro Arsenio, with Melvin Crows in 4th position on 226. So 7 points separating the top 4 in the championship. Nikola Busov is another 30 points adrift from Crows, therefore 37 off the top. So he's in need of a really strong result tonight. He has picked up a win already this season, albeit at Snetterton. Other than that, his best result has been 5th last time out at the Nürburgring. So he needs a quality result this evening to keep himself in the running for the title with 2 rounds still to go. 126 points are still left on the table. So far in this practice session, MGK has proven he's got the pace. He won't get pole position. You don't get points for qualifying on pole. You did used to in Taco Tuesday, but now that's not the case. You get the 2 points for setting the fastest lap of the race. In case you ask how many drivers are expected to turn up, we should be expecting 19 full-time drivers and 5 reserves, totaling to 24 competitors for tonight's race. It would be nice if we had a few more, but it is what it is. It's not the worst attendance record in the world. Good evening to Ben Milden, who's joining the chat. Good evening to you, Ben. In terms of those who have dropped out from tonight, from the pro category anyway, Kamil Mikovsky is not around, neither is Lewis Robinson, and neither is Jason Sargent. That's 3 full-time drivers that we know are not going to be competing this evening. Ahmed Aldori just pushing a little too hard to the right-hander of Tremonto. Turn 10. 16 corners I'm totaling on this Misano track. Of course, this track is named after the late Marco Simoncelli, who we sadly lost during that infamous Malaysian MotoGP event in Sepang in 2011. Won't provide the details in terms of what happened that cost him his life. I'm sure it was a very sombre occasion for everyone that knew Marco very well. So this circuit is named after the Italian driver. Carried the number 58 on his wagon for his fatal accident on track in Malaysia. Of course, Misano, this layout is 4.2 kilometers long, 2.6 miles if you prefer. First opened in 1972. It has played host to the Italian MotoGP event on a number of occasions, particularly in the 80s and the beginning of the 90s. Since 2007, it's been the host of the San Marino motorcycle GP event. Of course, it played host to the Emilia-Romagna motorcycle GP as well in 2020 and in 2021, hosting 2 races in those seasons. Of course, it's played host to the World Superbikes, GT World Challenge, Moto E, the Boss GP, and the ETRC, which is the Misano Grand Prix truck event that's been going every season, apart from 2020, since 1992. Of course, the Formula Regional European Championship have raced in Misano in 2020, as have the FIA Formula 3 European Championship in 2018. Not to mention Italian Formula 4 have raced at this track as well. They have done for a number of years now, since the championship's inception in 2014. It's a lovely racetrack, it has to be said. It's a good school ground, if you want to call it, for young drivers to learn the ropes. A single-seater or a sports car or a touring car, whatever kind of machinery is the driver's specialty. These are GT3s that drivers are racing on this evening, as Busov's just completed the lap and he's just stopping on circuit, so we're going back into the pits. Let's go find another driver who is on circuit. There's Andy Craven on circuit as he goes through turns 4 and 5. Misano has never played host to a Formula 1 race, and he can imagine why. It's an FIA Grade 2 circuit, so it wouldn't be able to host Formula 1. It is FIA Grade 1 that it would need. But not only that, but the competition it would have in hosting a race with the likes of Monza, Imola, Mugello. It probably beats Vallelunga. Of course, it's not necessarily the circuit configuration or how wide the track is, it's also the infrastructure and the facilities around the Misano track. Italy does love its motorsport. It's pretty clear, as it has done for many decades. So Andy Craven's 7/10 off the fastest time at the moment. Well, 1:34.6 is what Melvin Crows has posted. Got less than 6 minutes to go, so there's still time for those who've just joined the server to get some laps in. As I mentioned, this is round 8 of the championship. Next week we go to Zandvoort, and the season finale will be in Kyalami, South Africa, which have been in the news from some sources that it will not be hosting Formula 1 in 2024 for reasons which I won't disclose on air. I'll leave that for you to have a look at in your own time. But unfortunately, it won't be hosting Formula 1 next year at the very earliest. Could be 2025, for which is not being ruled out. So it may be some reprieve for Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium to continue hosting Formula 1 for another year. It's in its final year of its contract after its 1-year renewal going into last year's Belgian Grand Prix. Craven's on a lap at the moment, less than a second separating the top 14 at the moment. It's very competitive, this championship. 21 in the server at the moment. Hopefully that will increase in due course. Now the reserve drivers, in case you are wondering, are Mark Conway, got Moggs, Craig Law, Ben Gallagher and Alex Spanu joining the mix, or expected to anyway. Well, Ben's already in at the moment. Mentioned him on air already, and see he's in the lobby at the moment. Craig Law is definitely in. Mark Conway is in, Ben Gallagher's in, and Alex Spanu is in. So we've got all the reserves in tonight. And Moggs is down at the bottom, who I believe is out on circuit at the moment. He is. Shorter circuits for the drivers to conquer. Now, in terms of the format, for your information, 15 minutes of qualifying to determine the grid. And it's a 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop included. So it's fairly simple. Just keep your car out of trouble at the start. Get into a nice rhythm. And then you can start challenging the cars ahead. Of course, in Kyalami for the season finale in 2 weeks' time will be a 90-minute event with 2 mandatory pit stops included. Now, you don't need to refuel in these races, but changing tyres are mandatory. Just seen Smallhand and Morix make their way into the server now, so we've got our grid that we had been expecting from the check-in that I've seen. Moggs goes up to 15th position behind Farclub Perfizzle. Smallhand is on circuit now already, as is Lewis Robinson. In fact, I thought Lewis Robinson wasn't meant to be around tonight, which is interesting. Somehow changed his mind in the last minute, or perhaps he had plans of which that ended up being cancelled. But he's in tonight, which is good news. But 1.5 minutes remaining, and Robinson's posted a time that is 1.8 seconds off the pace. His lap time is a 1:36.5. He's aiming for better here. It's going through the kink there of turn 11, which is known as the Cavoni. Then the sharp hairpin that he's coming up to is what's known as the Caro. In fact, whilst we're at it, let's go for a lap with him. So just go on board with him, and now Lewis will take us on a lap of this Misano track. So crossing over the line, and you'll want to brake down to probably second gear for turn 1. No, he's in third, 140 kilometers an hour, and down to second gear for turn 2. This is 3 that he's going through now, and then position the car on the outside just after the 50-meter board. Brake for the apex, 75 kilometers an hour on the apex, through 4 and now 5, and carefully make your way through 6. A slight lift off the throttle, and onto this back straight for the next braking point of turn number 7. Just waiting for the apex to come around with him, and he's on his way. And through there's 8 and 9. Well, I think turn 7 may be the king, but I may well be wrong. But he's through Tremonto, and now he's coming up to the Cavoni kink. Keeps it pinned to to the throttle. Out to 6th gear before he brakes for the hairpin. Well, the hairpin that comes after the king has just gone by. 3rd gear at the kink of what is turn 13, I think. Then Caro, the hairpin, no problem. It's turn 15. And he approaches the line that is heading to him now. Turn 16 down to 2nd gear before applying the throttle. Up 3rd gear, then 4th. And then that is a lap of the Misano circuit. Thank you very much to Lewis Robinson for providing us with a very quality lap of the track. Let's see what his lap time was, because that was actually a really competitive time. That lap was good enough to move him up the order, I believe, and he ended up, if I look at the times from somewhere, he only ended up 16, so he was within a second of the fastest time, so it's respectable nevertheless. Well, qualifying has begun now, 15 minutes to determine the grid for round 8 of the Taco Tuesday series in the Pro category, season 9 of this championship. Busov, the first driver to head out on track. Don't have long. Track is green at the moment, so the track will pick up once more and more rubber is laid down. Two more cars heading out of the pits, so Busov will just want to make sure he doesn't catch up to them. Starting his lap now. As they're peeling out of the pits, they're coming on to turn 3. So turns 1 and 2 won't be an issue, but from the lap on, could be a bit more of an issue as Busov begins a lap now in the 95 Audi. No problem through that. That's Stuart Hutchinson, I think, who's just come onto the circuit. Just to remind you, 2 drivers are on qualifying bans, one of which is one of the championship contenders, MGK, and the other being Moggs, so they won't be setting lap times in this session, no matter what. Busov going through turn 10. Busov coming round the last turn now. Is this going to be a quality lap time? I'm hoping he has kept it within the limits of the racetrack on this occasion. It's a 1:35.9. Hutchinson sits in behind. Fighter goes to the top though, albeit for a few seconds because Ben Milden has taken that from him. 1:35.6 for him. And is there anyone else that's actually coming over the line? Well, Aldori's gone top, 1:35.3. The lap times are quickly coming down. And there's only 6 drivers with times at the moment. Make that 7 because Ray Thomas has gone to 6th position. Sean Cull with an unrepresentative lap time. He'll need to go again. Niels van Light going up to 3rd place. Damien van der Waal 4th, so it's Noel Dutch 2nd row. Kobe Alert's 5th. Nikola Busov down to 6th place now. Bruno Canavera, who missed last week but won the last 2 races before his absence. just posted his time in the low 1 minute 36s. He's in P7 as we speak. So some drivers haven't got over the line yet. I think there's 2 drivers actually who are almost nose to tail. Well, going through, I think the number 8 of Will Freeman, who ended the practice session fastest of all. He was able to beat MGK's lap time right at the end of the session, and that lap he's just posted has got him to provisional pole. 1:35.1 for him. Now remember, the fastest lap time we saw in practice was a 1:34.6, and Ben Milden was able to improve on his previous effort, and he's the first driver to break into the 1 minute 34s. So very well done there to the Brit, albeit for a few seconds, because Ahmed Al-Dawri, one of the championship contenders, has gone to provisional pole. 1 minute 34.8 for the Mercedes AMG driver. Busov 4th at the moment. Sean Cole goes up to 3rd. The championship leader coming alive. There's a disqualification for the 336 of Lewis Robinson for driving in the wrong direction. I hope that's just for qualifying, but either way, he will be starting from the back of the grid. So that lap time of Lewis's he was behind Conway. Either way, he will be starting from the back. Not sure exactly what happened to him. A very strange one. That'll be for him to discuss with me afterwards, or discuss with everyone in terms of what's happened. Craig Law, who had a nightmare of a race last week at the Nürburgring, is in P7, 6/10 off the pace. Now the track is picking up. The lap times are coming down. It's just interesting to see how much fuel these drivers are carrying, because some may decide to head straight back to the pits, get another set of fuel, get some more fuel put in for the final runs. It's a shorter track, so they'll be able to lose less time during the out laps and the in laps, etc., and their flying laps, for needing to come back into the pit lane and get more fuel in for another run. Craig Law has gone up to P4. Busov has gone to provisional pole with a 1:34.5. That was quicker, or that lap time is quicker than the fastest time that we saw in practice earlier. So Busov in contention for pole position at the moment. Sean Cole has gone second, 0.03 of a second behind the Croatian driver. Busov in need of a strong race tonight to stay in the frame for the title. He's doing the best he can so far. Fighter is in 6th position. Morix has gone 7th fastest. Not the best from him. Freeman, who was fastest out of those that did their first attempts before we started seeing drivers completing their second goes. He was fastest of them all. He's 8th at the moment. It looks like he's run wide a bit too much there through the penultimate turn. Lap time going to count for him. He needs to be careful because he doesn't want to be exceeding track limits too much. Freeman goes over the line. Good enough for P5. So that is an improvement, but there's still work to do for him. Bruno Canavera, a 2-time race winner this season, only in P12. Just coming through the hairpin of Tremonto. Got the 214 going over the line. Couldn't tell who that was. That is Mark Conway. He's only 15th as we speak. We've got the number 34 going over the line as well. That is Farclough Papizzle, who's only 21st. So the slowest out of all the drivers have set lap times. Due to exclude Robinson, who's disqualified from the session. Well, for the qualifying, I would have thought. Moritz is in P8. The number 46 heading over the line now, Bruno Canavera. Can he improve on his 12th position? He can, and he goes up to P9. It was quite an improvement actually, but it's only P9 and there's still work to do for him from there. Ben Milden's gone over the line. He's not improved on that effort, but the 161 coming through. That is Ice Dude, and he's not improved on his lap time either. Busov is going over the line. I think this is just to start a flying lap. Adam Anderson, who showed some strong pace last week at the Nürburgring, but he's not quite shown it here so far. Only P18. Quite a way off the pace, it has to be said. Got the 99 coming over the line as well. That is Morex, who doesn't get over the line. He must have run out of fuel or something, so he'll need to come back in. 5 minutes to go. Anyone's game for pole here in Misano. Andy Craven in P10. Respectable that he's done so far. Sean Cole's going over the line. Is this to start a lap, or is this to put him on pole? It's not an improvement. So he stays where he is. You can see some drivers just warming up their tyres, actually, who have just been out of the pits. Ben Milden in P5. Will Freeman in P6. Will Freeman, who's had a troublesome season so far, it has to be said, for him. 19th in the standings overall. His best result has been 12th, which he's accomplished on 3 occasions. Round 2 at Suzuka, he got the first of those, and then the previous 2 races at Silverstone, I think it was Silverstone he got it, or was it at... No, it was at Mount Panorama, my apologies, because he was running in P8 or P7 in the closing stages before he ran out of fuel and he crept over the line just as the race winner had just lapped him. So Freeman in need of a good result, really, to make up for lost time, make up for lost points. Trouble 4 coming through now. Sean Cole looking for pole. And he was able to reduce the arrears, but not enough to deprive Busov. So Cole stays in P2. So last week at the Nürburgring, Mauro Senio got pole. Dominic Fuca got pole at Laguna Seca. Moritz got pole at Suzuka. Melvin Krause got pole at the Hungaroring. Since then it was Busov. At Silverstone it was Arsenio. At Bathurst it was Sean Cole. Nürburgring it was Mauro Senio, I believe. So Busov is on course for his 2nd pole at the moment. Cole has already got a pole this season in Bathurst. Still Busov's pole right now. At number 46, heading towards the end of the lap, that is Bruno Canavera. He'll get 2 more goes at this, I'd have thought. 7/10 off the pace as we speak. It's just starting another lap now. Got the 444 coming through. Is Sean Cole doing enough here? No, he's not. He's not improved on that effort. Got the 45 coming through as well. That is Ben Gallagher. He was not able to improve. But a series of drivers coming through over the line. I don't know if they are improving their lap times. Got a bit of a break in the traffic, so we will go to Mario Senio, 8th quickest so far, last week's race winner, and he's not able to go up the order that time. Ahmed Aldori goes to pole, so Aldori has managed to displace Busov and go to pole position. He's done his bit for qualifying, so he'll not get another effort in. So Busov has got it with it all to do. If he doesn't do it this lap, he'll have 1 more go at it before the checkered flag comes out. Craig Law's now gone to pole, so Aldori will not be on pole here in Misano. Busov didn't improve, so he stays in P3. So Craig Law, one of the 5 reserves for tonight, is on pole position here in Misano, for now at least. Got the 46 coming through. We'll go to Bruno Canavera, who will be heading over the line. He'll get one more go at this. He's coming through. He's nearly a whole second off the pace. And he stays a whole second off the pace. We'll go to Sean Cole, who's coming over the line now before the checker flag. Hey, how's he done here? Not enough to move him up the order, so he stays in P4. We've got the 45 heading over the line. That's Ben Gallagher, goes 12th. We've got the 433 next up. Van der Waal doesn't improve, I don't think. So he stays where he is in P11. We've got the 99 coming through. I think that is Mauro Arsenio, who needs to improve here on his 8th position. He goes up to 7th, but that's all he can manage. Got the 18 of Spanu, looking to improve his final effort. He goes up to 90th position, so a reasonable effort from him. But Busov is coming towards the end of his lap now. Will Freeman is crossing over the line in the McLaren. We'll stay with Busov as Freeman goes 5th. This is Busov. He needs a strong qualifying here. Can he get up to pole position? He doesn't improve. He does not improve on his effort. And that brings qualifying pretty much to a close. Just seen a couple more drivers heading over the line. That is Adam Anderson going up to 14th. So quite a jump from where he was there. I think it was 18th or something like that. But he's gone up to 14th place. We've got the 46 heading the line. That is Bruno Canavera. He needs a good finish here. And he does improve a slight margin on his lap time, but he's not enough to move him up the order. So at the end of qualifying, it is Craig Law in the Mercedes AMG on pole position here in Misano. Then it's the sister Mercedes AMG of Ahmed Al-Douri in P2, with Nikola Busov in a strong P3. Sean Cole, the championship leaders, in P4, with Will Freeman and Ben Milden on the 3rd row of the grid, followed by Mauro Arsenio and Kobe Alerts. Bruno Canavera and Andy Craven running out the top 10. Damian van der Waal and Ben Gallagher are on row 6, with Nils Van Lyck and Adam Anderson on the 7th row. Falkler, Pavissel and Smallhand are on the 8th row of the grid, followed by Stuart Hutchison and Ray Thomas. Mark Conway and Icedew make up the 10th row of the grid, with Alex Spanu in 21st. MGK will start from 22nd on the grid, with Moggs and Lewis Robinson bringing up the rear. That was an interesting qualifying session, that. Less than a second separating the top 9. How will these drivers get on during the race? Well, there's one driver to look out for, most certainly, and that's going to be Melvin Krose, who will be starting from 22nd place on the grid. Watch him carve his way through the field at the start. It could be spellbinding to watch. But of course, these drivers just need to make sure they keep their noses clean at the start. The race is not won on the first lap, but it's where your race can be destroyed. JC is saying hello from Panama. Hello to you, sir. Hope you enjoyed the qualifying. It was a great battle for pole, it has to be said. Didn't quite expect Craig Law to get pole. I know he's a quick driver in his own right, but I thought it'd be one of the championship contenders ended up on pole position, but the pole ended up being his. It's not the first time this season that a reserve driver has ended up on pole in the pro category of Taco Tuesday this season. Dominic Vuvka did so at the season opener at Laguna Seca. Tonight it's the man from Northern Ireland, Craig Law, on pole position. Hello to you, Adam. Let's join in the chat. And to let you know, in terms of how the race will work, they'll do a formation lap with a rolling start. It's a 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop included. Let us know how your weekend has been, or how your week is going. Interested to know how you're getting on. So the drivers are on the grid now. We're just a few minutes away before the formation that begins. And it looks as though that the race will most certainly start in the daylight and will finish in the daylight. So those are the kind of races I prefer watching, to be honest with you, just from a spectator's perspective. Don't know what the plans are for Season 10. Got a few races to go anyway to be completed. Will we get another new race winner this season? So that Ahmed Al-Dori, who's starting in P2, has yet to take victory this season, but he has finished on the podium 4 times this campaign. It's Sean Cole who's been on the podium the most, with 5, including a race win at Suzuka. 2 second place finishes, the first being at Laguna Seca, the other being in round 4 at Snetterton. Oh no, sorry, Sean Cole's finished on the podium 3 times, sorry. There was a couple of 4th places as well, but a 4th place finish doesn't get you a podium, unfortunately. Ahmed Al-Dori has the most podiums out of everyone on the grid so far this season. Keep you informed as to whether we'll see anyone starting from the pit lane. If you're MGK, you probably won't want to start from the pit lane, because it's quite funny how the pit lane decides to switch on the green light and allow the car to go away. Want to try and get in the action, get stuck in, start making some places straight away. I know an hour may sound like it's a long one, but it's not really. Really have got to be clean with your overtakes, but get them done as soon as possible. Looking at the daylight, actually, it is beginning to darken. The multiplier in terms of the time elapsing is doubled to what it would be in real life. So it could well be that we start in the day and finish in daylight. I think we know a particular motor racing event that does that. So the drivers are off on their formation lap. So a rundown on who is lining up where. So Craig Law is on pole for the first time this season, with Ahmed Al-Dori alongside the highest of the championship contenders. Nikola Busov is 3rd. Then it's Sean Cole in 4th place in the Mercedes AMG. Will Freeman 5th, followed by Ben Milden. Then it's Mauro Arsenio in P7 with Kobe Alerts, Bruno Canavera and Andy Craven running out the top 10. Damien van der Waal and Ben Gallagher are next, followed by Niels van Lyck and Adam Anderson in the only Porsche one of the 2 Porsches in the running. Farquhar Pavissel and Smallhand are 15th and 16th places respectively. Stuart Hutchinson and Ray Thomas are 17th and 18th, followed by Mark Conway and Ice Dude. Alex Spanu in 21st, and then it's Melvin Crows starting from 22nd place on the grid, as he had to serve a qualifying ban as he accumulated a certain number of penalty points that warranted the sanction. Moggs would have been 23rd and Lewis Robinson 24th, but we've just seen that Alex Spanu deciding to start the race from the pit lane. His 21st position will become effectively last by the time the race gets going, but at least he'll avoid any first lap mayhem if there is any. So track temperature of 29 degrees, air temperature 24, that will come down without a shadow of a doubt. No rain is expected as far as we know. We'll keep you updated whilst we are on air. Let me know who you are rooting for victory, or what your bets are, or your predictions. A lot of you will be thinking about the 24 hours of Le Mans, which will be taking place this weekend. Practice beginning tomorrow, of course. Good friend of mine, Chris McCarthy, will be one of those in the commentary box for then, along with the likes of many other commentators that have been announced for the magnificent event, which will be, I think, celebrating its 100th anniversary since the inaugural 24 Hours of Le Mans that begun in 1923. Very exciting then. We'll keep our focus on what matters for this championship, as Craig Law will be looking to convert his pole position into victory here tonight. They're in the rows of two. When the green flag is waved, we'll be racing in Misano. And the green flag is waved and the drivers are off! Craig Law will have the inside line into turn one. Watch for Busov is coming through nearly on Aldori. That's Ben Milden up the inside already. He's got past Will Freeman already, and now he's looking to the outside of the championship leader of Sean Cole as they go past turns 1, 2 and 3. Now they're into turn 4. There's an incident at the back. We'll come to that shortly. It looks like Ray Thomas has gone for a spin in the gravel, but has continued. Disaster for him. So Craig Law in the lead, Aldori second, Busov third, Cole is fourth. It's Milden, Morris and Freeman next behind. And it looks like Bruno Canavera has got in front of Freeman, so Freeman has had a terrible start, but nothing like what Ray Thomas has had in the first sector of the lap. And Alex Spano is joining the race now from the pit lane, but he's already quite a way behind. And MGK is already up to P20, but I think Craig Law has got a problem. He has, he's so down. He is so down as Craig Law. He's been hit from behind by Will Freeman. Oh my goodness me. I cannot believe it. I don't know if he accidentally hit the ignition switch, but it looks like Craig Law's race is already over. Disaster. Well, Will Freeman, innocent bystander, I have to say. Yeah, damage on the windscreen, and he'll be heading for the pits at the end of this lap. Oh my goodness me. Well, he has been unlucky at times this season, and that just explains it. So Aldori's into the lead then. He was very lucky to avoid Busov actually. To be fair, he was already going side by side with him on the back straight after Tremonto. Busov got through fine, but Will Freeman unfortunately just couldn't dodge around him in time, around Craig Law in time. So Craig Law is out of the race. Freeman in the pits. Not good for either driver. Now Busov is under threat from Sean Cole. He's up to P3 now. Now, as it stands, he'll still be in the lead of the championship. He'll want to try and get past Busov as soon as he can, as we ride on board with Cole as he takes us onto the back straight before the kink of Cavoni. There's another kick, there's another corner to get through, so there's another right-hander before the braking zone. There's actually two corners actually before the hairpin of the Curva del Caro. Gets through there, no problem. He sits in P3, but he won't want to take too many risks at this stage. That was really strange how Craig Law slowed down there. Did he hit the ignition switch by accident as he came out of Tremonto? Or did he, or did his brake pedal break? Or did his throttle pedal break? I don't know. But we're watching Cole now, who's got a good exit coming out of turn 3. He's up the inside as they go into the Curva del Rio, and Sean Cole has got past Nikola Busov and he's up into second place. Very clean move, and early on in the race we've just seen what looks like Morris and Bruno Canavero both nearly dropping it on the exit of the left-hander, and Canavera is under threat from Fighter behind. MGK is up to 15th position for your information, so he's kept his nose clean already, so that's good news for him. Moggs up to 18th from the back of the grid. The front headlights are on, and we are watching Bruno Canavera looming in behind Morex as they come up towards the Cavoni curve, and then the two right-handers before Caro as they head through, no problem. So Sean Collins second place then, and going after Ahmed Al-Dori. The driver with the fastest lap of the race so far is Ben Milden, although Ahmed Al-Dori has got that now, and that's important because that's an extra 2 championship points going his way as it stands. Now with Sean Collins second place, he would still be in the lead of the championship by a single point. Mauro Senio and Melvin Crows will be dropping further back in the points, but it's still early days in this race and so much can change. MGK up to 14th place now, he's past Smallhand. And Freeman is still in the pits as we speak. He's lost a lot of time, and I imagine he'll be calling it a day, if I'm honest with you. So Will Freeman out of the race already. There was a battle going on further behind. It looks like Ben Gallagher was tussling with Nils Van Lyck. He came out of there, and that's Van Lyck down the inside of Ben Gallagher. That looked like contact there as they went through Tremonto. Oh, they're still banging wheels, and Van Lyck will not like that from Ben. Desperate to get ahead. Ben Gallagher is one of the reserve drivers for this evening. And Craig Law's just coming in saying that he accidentally pressed the engine cut button, and that explains it. So I was right first time around. So yeah, that was a disaster for Craig Law, and I imagine that he could well be given, could well have the book thrown at him for it, because it cost Will Freeman the race, and he could have caused an almighty accident. And MGK is still in 14th place, but he's closed the gap to Supervizzle. He's desperate for a way through. He's got some paint marks on his car, but it doesn't seem to be affecting the performance too much. And now he's lining up a move now on the Audi as they come up towards the left-hander. The left-hander of the Kia. And I think he's got through on Perpizzle by the looks of it, although he's going side by side with him. He's looking to the outside. He leaves Perpizzle a lot of room, but MGK will want to try and get the best of exits coming out of Tremonto. And Farclub Perpizzle is going to have to, well, he's making him work for it. But this is important for MGK. He needs to make light work of Perpizzle so he can catch up to the leaders later on in the race. Over the curve, and this is a good opportunity for MGK to go down the inside of Perpizzle, and he's made it work. Melvin Crows on a charge, up to 13th position he goes. The gap between the top two is 1.7 seconds. Busov dropping back into the clutches of Ben Milden. Busov in need of a really strong result, and he needs Al-Dori and Cull to be in the wars tonight to reduce the arrears in the championship battle. He's only finished once on the podium this season. That was his race win at Snetterton. Same for Mauro Arsenio, and it's definitely the same for Bruno Canavera, who has already won 2 races this season, coming in rounds 5 and 6. The first being at Silverstone and the other being at Mount Panorama. Now let's see how MGK is getting on, because he's got Adam Anderson next in front of him. Nearly 10 minutes into the race, the drivers are coming towards, or the leads are coming towards the end of lap 6, I should say. Anderson looking for a move on Andy Craven, but he needs to watch MGK, who looks to get a good exit, and he's taken advantage of a mistake from Anderson, and he's gone up to P12. That was a good overtake that from MGK, took advantage when he needed to. And Fighter and Gallagher have been tussling as well, and MGK has got the fastest up of the race now, so he's taking that away from Ahmed Al-Dori. Smallhand has dropped back, and he's dropping behind Moggs, and Lewis Robinson is waiting to get through as well. And Conway's in the pits now to get his mandatory pit stop done and out of the way. Do that, and then we can rejoin the action. See, the headlights are on these cars. No rain expected, as I've already mentioned. Hilden's still behind Busov. Morek's still behind Canavera. Closest battle we've got on circuit. I can just see that MGK's got in front. Well, we thought he got in front of Andy Craven, but not quite so. He was ahead of him going through the first timing beam, which is just on the exit of turn number 5. But somehow Craven managed to get back ahead of him again. Vanderwaal's in P7 now, he's in front of Fighter, he's having a good race of it. So we're just seeing MGK close back in on Craven again. The third sector seems to be where MGK is gaining the most time, Matt. To watch what looks like Mark Conway coming out of the pits. Short circuit here. Oh, and that's Adam Anderson having a moment over the sausage curves coming out of turn number 6, and that could have been curtains for him, but he's kept the car going and pointing the right way. We've just seen MGK get through on Craven now, and he's up to P11. He's got a few seconds to make up on Nils van Lyck. So MGK on a charge as expected. Just seen close down the gap a little bit on Ahmed Al-Dori, down to 1.3 seconds. A fifth of the way through the race. I would say we're looking at around 35 laps of racing today. Back in further down the order to see if there's any activity going on. And Van Lyck is trying to get through on Ben Gallagher again. Of MGK closing on him shortly. On lap 9, wind speed is very low at the moment, if there is any. And I think the sun is bursting out actually, so I wonder if we are, whether it was actually a morning star. I didn't actually pick up on the time actually, and it's 11:40 at the moment in terms of the race time, so we're not going to go into darkness. It will be a day race, which is good to see from my point of view. Milden. Line up a move on Busov. Are we going to see the Brit make a move on the Croatian very shortly? I think Busov's position in third is looking increasingly tenuous at the moment. There's someone in the pits. Conway's in the pits again. Yeah, he's back in the pits again. I'm not sure why. He's been in the war somewhere and he's not having a good time of it. So he's already 2 laps down on the leaders. Got the 336 in the pits now. That's Lewis Robinson. So Milden looking to make a move on Busov shortly. GK is now 1.5 seconds behind Niels van Lyck. Number 23 that's just going through the Garcia. Busov not getting the best of exits. Milden seems to have a better exit than the Audi. So they go through the Cavoni pink. And yeah, the lines that Busov is taking are not particularly that good, to be honest with you, and that's resulting in him running wide, which Milden is doing so. Yeah, I think Busov is not feeling very confident at the moment in keeping Milden behind. All of this is costing him time in pursuit of the leaders ahead. 10 laps done. Still no change at the front. Milden in 4th place. Looking competitive today. His reserve drives this season. I'm saying his reserves drives. He's actually a full-time driver. He's been a full-time driver this season, has Milden. He has switched cars during this campaign, hence why he hasn't scored as many points as expected. So he's trying to make a move up the inside or make a move on the outside. Now he's doing the switchback on the exit of the Garcia hairpin. Seventh last week at the Nürburgring for Ben Milden. Second the round before in Bathurst. Now we go on board with him again as they come towards Cavoni. And MGK's right up behind Van Lyck as we speak. And he's still behind him at the moment, but he's continuing to close down the gap. We'll come to that in a moment. And Milden not able to get through on that occasion. Meanwhile, MGK is evidently right up behind Van Lyck, coming out of the Cardo hairpin. Through the penultimate turn. We've got one more corner to get through before the pit straight. Go on board with him again. We just saw Gallagher make a mistake running wide on the exit of the last turn. We ride on board with Melvin as he takes us through turns 1 and 5 to gain out shape there. That'll compromise his line, and that could see Ben Gallagher move up a place if he can do it. Drivers just need to be careful with track limits, as that can catch them out later on. And MGK up the inside of Van Lyck, and he's got through. Great move there from the Ferrari pilot. Put himself up into 10th place, into the top 10. I don't think it'll be too long before he gets by Ben Gallagher, but I think once he gets by him, Alert and Van der Waal, that'll be where the going gets tough, but he needs to get past them as soon as he can. There's Gallagher ahead in the blue number 45 Audi. GK in the number 23 red Ferrari. As they come towards the Caro hairpin again. Over the curbs. Trying to find the most optimal line possible round that section of the circuit. You can see Gallagher Going over the curve though, and almost like it looks like he's exceeding track limits. Ben Milden in the pits then from 4th place. He's the first of the leaders to come in for his mandatory pit stop. I'd like to think he'll come out in some clean air, and that could be the difference between gaining positions and not. GK needs to make a move here on Ben Gallagher. Will he make a move up the inside into turn 4? The answer is no. Now we go on board with MGK again as they come out of turn 6. This could give him the opportunity he needs to make a lunge up the inside into the hairpin, and I think Fighter, has he got ahead of Van der Waal? Not quite so yet, but there's MGK up the inside. He just about gets the car slowed down. Does he go too deep into the corner? Well, he's allowed Gallagher to get back alongside again, but MGK will have the inside line for the next sequence of corners, and that should see him keep the position for good. So MGK up another place then, into 9th position he goes. Now he's got Fighter ahead of him, although he's up to P8 I should say, MGK, because Ben Milden came into the pits at the end of the previous lap. And Sean Cole's got the gap down to under 0.8 of a second. I don't know whether he'll try and overtake him on the circuit or just wait until the pit stops arrive. MGK right up behind Fighter as they come round the last turn. And we've just seen Van der Waal run wide there, and that's not the best line to take. See those three coming through turns 1 and 2. Aldori's still continuing to lead. The gap is back up to 0.9. I think Sean Cole is playing it safe for the time being. Aldori does not have the fastest lap, so as it stands in the championship, Sean Cole will still be leading the way by 3 points. Now we ride on board with MGK again as Fighter will have 2 problems, trying to get past Van der Waal and trying to keep MGK behind. It's a good exit for the Dutchman. He needs to make light work of Fighter very quickly. In for a tidy exit coming out of Tremonto. He's got a good exit. Now is he going to pull off a move like he has done with a number of drivers in the race and do it into the Caro hairpin? Go onto the Helicam, which we've hardly used tonight, but this is an opportunity to see if Crows can get the move done into the hairpin. See how hard he's trying. Fighter going defensive. Crows looking for a move. We've just seen behind that Van Lyck has got in front of Gallagher now into 9th place. And MGK has decided, you know what, I'm not going to get stuck in the traffic. I'm going for the pits to get my mandatory pit stop done now. So there is MGK making the... Oh, and that's Gallagher off the track. He has spun on the pit straight. Luckily, he got his foot off the throttle. Otherwise, he'd have been spinning around like a fidget spinner. So he has dropped back. He hasn't lost a position, but he's lost his momentum most certainly. MGK, where will he rejoin? Well, I don't think he's going to rejoin in front of Milden. Milden was a long way ahead of him before the pit stops had begun. Conway hasn't returned to the circuit. Robertson is the last driver of the runners, so 21 drivers are still running from the 24 that started. Milden's gone past MGK now, he's just done his stop. He's leaving the box now. A long way behind Milden, but he could well have some clear track ahead, which he'll use very well, but he just needs to be careful because the leaders are on the pit straight. How long will it be before MGK gets up to speed? So the leaders coming into turn 2. MGK rejoins in front of them. Now this could be very interesting. He's on cold tyres, is MGK, so that may give Aldori and Cool a little bit of a headache, as Bruno Canavera and Kobe Alerts are in the pits together at the end of lap 15. Now, how will Aldori be thinking at this stage? Well, he'll know that MGK has just stopped because the pit exit feeds out into turn 3. He'll just needs to be careful ahead. You can just see on the right hand side there's a marshal waving a blue flag and another one, so MGK knows he has to be careful not to be ignoring the blue flags too much. That's the third one. That's the third one I've seen being waved to him. He's actually pulling away, in all honesty, but the game may decide to hand him out a penalty should he continue to not adhere to the blue flags. In real life, he might have been okay, but you never know with the algorithms of a video game in general. So Fighter and Bruno have done their stops, and I think Fighter has got out in front of Canavera, so Canavera has not had a very good stop at all. And there's a stop-go penalty for Fighter, unfortunately, so that'll give Canavera some reprieve, although Bruno Canavera's got back ahead of Fighter. I think it was just in terms of where in the box they had pitted together, because some are before the finish line, others are behind it. Or just after it, I should say. So Canavera is in fact in front of Fighter. And it'll be one less headache for MGK now as well, because he is behind Fighter, but Fighter will have to serve his stop and go penalty. I've just seen that Sean Cole and Busov are in the pits. So important pit stops for those two, for their championship. And Busov's stop box is right at the end of the pit lane. He needs a really good pit stop here, does Busov. And Sean Cole is exiting the pit lane now. Busov needs to get off the marks as soon as he can. And the next car behind him that's coming round looks to be the 18 of Spanu, who's yet to pit. By the looks of it, it seems to be. Now, the fact that Sean Cole came into the pits is an interesting one, because he knows that Aldori is stuck behind MGK, who is a lap behind. And I think Aldori will probably want to respond to that and pit in this lap, and he's going to do so. So before half race distance, Aldori heads for the pit lane. He needs this stop to be quicker than what Sean Cole has just done a moment ago. Morex is in the pits, so that could allow Damon van der Waal to go into the lead of the race. Van Lyck will go up to P2. Gallagher stays out for now as well. Anderson, Craven, Hutchison remaining out there, as is Moggs. And MGK with the fastest up of the race at the moment. It's currently running in P19. Fighter is in the pits to get his stop and go penalty done. But he's lost any hope of getting a solid points finish out of this now. Feel like an eternity taking that stop and go. Fighter's done that stop and go now, so he'll rejoin in 21st place. There are a number of drivers still yet to pit in, but he'll be at the back for sure by the end of this race, I'm certain of it. Spano has come into the pits also. Aldori, has he rejoined in front of Cole? The answer to that question is no. Cole has got out just in front of him. So the undercut from Sean Cole has worked to his advantage. And he's in the net race lead now. Unless Aldori has something to say on it. So Sean Cole in contention to win this race now. Unless something badly goes wrong for him. Already a race winner this season at Suzuka. Of course, he was fighting for the race lead with Ahmed Aldori on that occasion. He didn't need to pass him on track this time around. He's done it through the pit stops. It's worked in his favour. MGK's in 18th position behind Morex. He's just over 15 seconds off the pace to him, or 15 seconds behind. Hutchinson comes in. I suppose this is a blessing for MGK now, because he just needs to get the hammer down, get some fast laps in, and start closing the gap on the front runners. .30 minutes into this race now, 18 laps have been completed. Probably looking at around 36 laps maybe. So the 433 is going through sector 2 now. May well be a 37 lap race, who knows. And Ice Dude has come into the pits. He was behind MGK, so that should be another position gain for MGK. Get out in front. Can he get in front of Hutchinson though? He hasn't got in front of him. I think Hutchinson got the jump on him in the pits. So I think that repair job for MGK had cost him some time, because he did have some paint marks on his car at the beginning of the race. That's not quite worked out in his favour, but his tyres will be up to temperature, unlike Hutchinson, so that'll give him the advantage. Now he goes for it into the Creasia hairpin, and that was a clean overtake, and he's got the move done. So Van der Waal, Van Lyck, Anderson and Smallhander in the pits. Ray Thomas in also. That leaves only 4 drivers yet to make their stops. Ben Gallagher leads the race then, temporarily ahead of Andy Craven. Moggs in P3 after starting from the back. Pavel Brazil is in 4th position. There's Fighter, 7 seconds behind his nearest challenger, which is Alex Spanu, who had started this race from the pit lane, remember. Sean Cole will go past a lot of them. Says Aldori, who stays right on his tail. I suppose the more these two battle, the more it'll play into the hands of those who haven't pitted yet, but they're not going to be fighting for the race win. They're just too close to the leaders. Depends how quick they are in changing the tyres and getting back out again, because if you stay out and you haven't got long left in the race, you can actually make the pit stops a lot quicker, which can help you in your race. Daldori staying in touch with Cole for the race lead. He needs to get past him, otherwise Cole is going to be extending his lead at the top with 2 rounds still to go in the championship. Craven and Vervizel are in the pits, which leaves only 2 drivers left to do their mandatory pit stops now. 21 drivers still running. Mark Conway, Will Freeman and Craig Law out of the race. GK is just under 6 seconds behind Van der Waal, so it's not too far off, but I think he's further behind him than he was before the pit stops had begun. Don't know if he's going to have too much to fight for at this stage. Should get ahead of Craven and Vervizel. So MGK's past those 2, no problem. And Gallagher comes into the pits. Moggs will be the latest driver to take over ahead at the front. Sean Cole. Still got Aldori to worry about, and just seen that Bruno Canavera has got the fast lap of the race. Drive-through penalty for Ray Thomas for track limits. He's the first driver to going the naughty book, if you want to call it that. There are a number of drivers exceeding track limits so far, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if we receive more drivers having to take drive-throughs because of this. And you can see that's Cole going wide there again on the exit of the last turn. He won't want to be doing that too many times. But Gallagher in the pits then, which leaves only Moggs still yet to come in. And there we go, we've got another one. This time Adam Anderson is the latest to receive a drive-through penalty for track limits. This is a really intense battle. This is P2 on track, but it'll become the race lead once Moggs comes in for his stop. See Moggs running wide and Aldoro running wide even more. These two are pushing very, very hard. Maybe even too hard for their own good. I suppose the more they battle, this will play into the hands of Ben Milden, you just saw in the background, closing in a little bit more. Busov is behind Bruno Canavera as well, so Busov has lost out in the stops. He was ahead of Ben Milden before the pit stops have begun. He's behind him, and he's also behind Bruno Canavera, which is not good news for the man who has started third place on the grid for tonight's event. You can see he's running wide, and he won't want to be joining the list of those getting caught out for track limits. So MGK's up to 9th place then. He's closed the gap between himself and Van der Waal. I would think that 8th place is the best that MGK is going to accomplish here this evening. Unless misfortunes hit others ahead. "23 minutes still to go. There's plenty of time still for things to change. We want to go back to the front because Aldori is not giving up hope on getting the race lead back from his championship rival. Sean Cole doing his best. Even if the race was to finish as it is, this is far from over concerning the championship. These two have been giving it all from lights out at Laguna Seca back in April. They are really, really giving it some. The hairpin, Caro. The rain seems to be staying away for the foreseeable future, so they should not be getting any more rain, or any rain at all. So once Moggs has done his stop, will he get out in front of Van der Waal in P7? That's probably his aim right now. No, he's looking for the move at the moment. Is Aldori, look how much curb he's taking. Go on board again on the back straight. There is a kink before the Piercia hairpin. See how wide of a line Aldori is trying to take to see if he can get a decent exit. There's Cole running wide again. Be interested to know how many times each driver has exceeded track limits so far. And Moggs has come in for his stop now. Now, we'll have a look and see how long this stop takes. I'll keep an eye on the battle for the race lead. I don't think Aldori's going to have a go just yet. And this stop of Moggs is probably going to be similar to what we saw from more or less everyone else. Gallagher's got in front of Stuart Hutchinson for 10th position on track. Box has been in the box for a long time now, so it's probably going to be something like 30 seconds, if not more. And he's been in the box for like, I'd say just over 35 seconds. But he's leaving the box now. And he's got the 4.33 of Van der Waal and the 23 of MGK coming through. So he'll rejoin behind them. That moves MGK up to 8th position. So these two refusing to leave each other alone. If they get in a tangle, that will change the complexion of the championship. No doubt about that. 20 minutes to go then, into the final third of the race here in Misano, located in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. Canavera up to 4th place behind Milden, Busov 5th, Moritz 6th, and we've got a titanic scrap for P7 between Van der Waal in the Audi and Kroos in the Ferrari. We ride on board with the Dutchman, pursuing his fellow Dutchman. Too far back to challenge from there. We'll go back to the top two in the race as they begin their 26th lap. A brilliant battle between these two. Enormous respect for each other through the campaign. Cole running wide a little bit again. If you do receive a drive-through penalty, you are allowed to cross the finish line twice, and then the next time around, that's when you must serve the drive-through penalty, otherwise you will be disqualified. See the different lines each driver is trying to take to either get away from the car behind or close in on the car in front. And Moritz has got in front of Busov now for 5th place. We didn't see the overtake, but we know the result of it. So Busov's race is going from bad to worse. He's falling further and further out of contention for the title as it stands. So the top two coming through Caro. So giving it everything. They know how much is on the line. Moritz in front of Busov. Van der Waal still in front of Kroos in the fight for 7th position. Vito has got in front of Ray Thomas in the battle for 20th position. He's got Alex Spanu next up. Gallagher has had a respectable race so far, despite that off on the exit of the last turn. He's in P9 ahead of Hutchison. Van Lyck is down to 11th after the pit stops. Moggs in P14. But on fresher tyres, he may be able to make that play into his advantage in getting past the likes of Babizzel, Craven and Van Lyck. But he hasn't got a lot of time to get the job done. He's ahead of Babizzel now, up to 13th position, so at least that's one car down. He is in the pink and purple and lime green Ferrari. Canavera's got the gap down a little bit to Milden in the fight for 3rd place. Just under 2.7 seconds between those two. MGK is still behind Van der Waal in the fight for P7. With the curbs. All over the back of the Audi in front. Go back to the leaders because the gap is under 0.4 of a second through sector 1. You can see running wide a little bit again. We're heading into the final 15 minutes of the race. If one of these gets a track limits penalty, that's going to cost them the race, no question. We've just seen Smallhand become the latest to be given a drive-through penalty for track limits. That's recipient number 3 of the race. It's a full foul of it. He's just gone over the line. That's not a different notification, that's the same one. It's just the fact that he's gone over the line, and to know that he needs to serve that penalty within the next 2 laps. And Aldori's dropped back in sector 2, so Cool can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief, but he can't back off too much. And we've got another one with a drive-through. That's a Fighter, and this is his second penalty of the race. The first one was for speeding in the pit lane. Now it's for track limits. They made that recipient number 4. And he's just gone over the line to start another lap. Leaders are coming up to the back markers now. And Fighter got ahead of Spanu just as it being given the drive-through penalty. Now Smallhand and Fighter just seen Ray go off the track to allow the leaders to go through. He does not want to get involved in any of that. Spanu is the next driver, of which the leaders are going to come up to next. And we've got Moggs receiving a drive-through penalty for track limits. This is very much becoming a bit of a... It's all kicking off a little bit now with the track limit penalties being dished out. Now if this happens to any of the leaders, don't be at all surprised. They've been pushing it. Now Moggs, Smallhand and Fighter will drop down the order as a result of those penalties. MGK still not able to get in front of Van der Waal, and because of it he's allowing Gallagher and Hutchinson to close in, so he needs to get the moved on now, really does MGK. It's a good exit coming out of Tremonto. The drive-through penalty has been cleared for Smallhand. Fighter will get his cleared very shortly. Feel like an eternity taking those drive-through penalties. That's how punishing it is to get them for track limits when you go off the track over the white line too many times. Go back to the battle for the lead because it's still very much fight between these two. Moggs is coming into the pits now to get his drive-through penalty done. He'll lose, I'd probably say, 2 or 3 places. And now MGK is the latest to receive a drive-through penalty. That is bad news for his championship hopes. That is really bad news. That's going to drop him down the order horribly. He'll drop down to 13th, I think. Now he goes up the inside of Van der Waal, but Van der Waal will know that MGK is carrying the penalty and MGK is just running too deep into the corner, and Van der Waal's got back through again. And Van der Waal lets him through, but he's allowed Gallagher through. He went too deep and that has allowed MGK to go through, but Ben Gallagher is going to benefit from all of this because MGK will have to serve a drive-through penalty very, very shortly. And now it's almost 3 abreast as they come towards the Caro hairpin. 2 more corners before that, and somehow they got through that without making any more contact. Gallagher up the inside of Van der Waal. These two are really very much at it, and MGK will know they'll need to serve that drive-through within the next 3 laps, and he's doing so now, and that could really spell the end of his title hopes because of it. So Gallagher will go through, Van der Waal will go through, Van Lyck will go through, Hutchison will go through, Craven will go through, Papizel will go through. MGK will drop down to 13th place. This could make things very interesting from here on in the final 10 minutes of this. Aldori's a second behind. But he knows that if he can start pushing Kull into a mistake, it may result in Kull receiving a penalty for track limits. But Aldori has to be careful not to get a penalty of his own, otherwise that's his race wrecked. So MGK is able to rejoin ahead of Robinson in 13th position. But he's got no hope of catching Pavizel. There's not enough time to do that. Unless there are more drive-through penalties handed out to those ahead of him. That's his only hope now. We've seen a battle for third raging on at the moment. The gap has come down to 1.5 seconds between Milden in third, Canavera in fourth, and Arsenio in fifth. Now Arsenio needs this to stay or get an extra couple of points for the championship. Canavera knows his chances of the title are very much slim at this point. You never know what could happen to the leaders in front of him. If we get into the final few laps, a drive-through penalty is given, and that driver does not take it before the checkered flag, it will be given as a time penalty. How much that will be, not 100% certain, but it will be at the very minimum 30 seconds. Now if Kull or Aldori were to get that, it may well be that worst case scenario, 6th place could be the lowest they end up, given the gap that Van der Waal has got behind Busov. Now we've just seen Navarra thinking of a move on Milden. Didn't quite go for it just yet. Milden will know that Canavera is there, waiting to pounce. Lap 32 completed by the top two. These three will be completing lap 32 as well. Absolutely nip and tuck. Canavera looking for a different line, but that's risky because you just saw that he went over the curb and he almost looked like he exceeded track limits. So Fighter has received has already had a drive-through penalty for track limits, as has Ray Thomas, as has Smallhand, as have Adam Anderson, as has Moggs, as have MGK. I've counted 6 drivers in that. Could well receive more before this race is over. Who will it be? And there's Canavera looking for it on Milden. Milden keeps his nerve, but Canavera will have had a better exit than he had out of Tremonto. Into the slipstream. Which way will he go? He will go to the outside. There are 3 right-handers before the Caro hairpin. And Milden placing the car perfectly, but Canavera can get on the inside. But Moritz nearly ran into the rear of Canavera just as Canavera was preparing for a move on Milden. Coming through the last corner now. And the leaders have already gone over the line to start their 34th lap. And I'd probably say we've got 4 laps to go. Maybe even 5, depending on how much fuel these drivers have got left in the fuel tanks. And that's another thing to look out for. How much fuel has each of these drivers have put in to last the distance. There's Canavera on the inside of Milden into turn 4, can't get it done, contact made, and I think Canavera backed out of it because had he got ahead of him he probably would have given it back and Arsenio would have got ahead of him as a result. Now Canavera will know what happened at the Nürburgring last week in terms of the way MGK got past Sean Cole, or no, Mauro Arsenio I should say, in order to take the victory on track, but got penalised for it, which resulted in a quali ban because of his penalty points licence. And now these three are coming up to back markers now, so this could make it very, very tricky for the lot of them. And Cole is pulling away from Aldori, so I wonder if Aldori is just accepting second place at this rate. Zandvoort is next week, so he'll be hoping for better. I'm hoping that Sean Cole can hit the walls, be in the wars, I should say. Got over the line, and just seeing Spano, I think that's Spano's just stayed out of the way. And MGK, who's running in 13th position, it's clear of Moggs, and he's 11 seconds behind Bevizzle, but he's not going to have enough time to catch him. Even if he caught him at like 2.5 seconds a lap, he would still finish behind him. Canavera has the fastest up of the race so far, as well as 4th position, but he wants 3rd. Twice a race winner this season, and further behind, Busov is closing back in on these three, so we could well have a 4-car battle for the final podium spot. Go on board with Bruno Canavera, who's not in the position as he was on the previous lap to have a go. Now Busov will be fancying his chances in a minute. He'll probably just be happy to watch these three tussle amongst themselves and hope that there'll be a collision of some sort, or a mistake from all three of them ideally, as Arsenio goes in too deep into the car a hairpin. It drops back from Milden and Canavera, and the leaders have completed their lap, their 35th lap. We're on lap 36. Now this is going to be tight. Will the clock tick to 0 before the 37th lap is completed? It may not be the case, and this could be a really interesting one to see who's fueled for long enough and who hasn't. Will Freeman got it wrong in Mount Panorama 2 weeks ago. Now Busov is very much closing on these three. Milden knows. I don't think his tyres are pretty much at a good state compared to Canavera and Mauro Arsenio. Canavera is looking for a move. Will he go for it? Into the KSC hairpin. Arsenio looking to the outside as well. Milden defends the inside on the apex. Canavera cannot get the move done. We're right on board as they come up towards the sequence of right-handers leading into Tremonto. Milden goes in too deep. Canavera takes advantage, and Canavera has gone up to P3. Brilliant move. That move was coming all along. Arsenio looks to have got through into 4th place. That's bad news there for Ben Milden, who'd been in 3rd for so long. But the pressure from Canavera had paid off in the end. But now he's got a new challenger for the podium position. That is Mauro Arsenio, last week's race winner at the Nürburgring. And Busov is getting in on the app now. And Milden's dropping back. He really is struggling on his 2nd set of tyres. The leaders have started their 37th lap. I think we're going to get another lap after that one. So Busov has got enough time to get a move done for 5th position. Arsenio has got enough time to get his place on the podium and stay in contention for the championship. Canavera knows it's not over yet, and we just saw Arsenio getting a good exit. Canavera defends his line. Arsenio doesn't go for it on this occasion. So Arsenio stays in P3 for the time being. Pit window has closed, but no need to worry about that. Busov will be fancying his chances with Milden now. we'll go on board with him as they come up to us. This was where Ben Milden lost the position on the previous lap. Gets it right this time, so Busov won't make an overtake. But we want to go to the battle for P3 because Canavera is really, really under attack from the fellow Audi of Mauro Arsenio. Got a battle for 10th place hotting up, actually, between Hutchison, Andy Craven and Pavizel. The leaders have crossed over the line, so they've got one more lap to do. Oh, that's Arsenio running wide on the curbs there. That's cost him. And he's lost ground to the Audi, and I think that's that battle over now. Bruno Canavera's third position looks to be very much safe, but never say never until the checkered flag is out. And there's Busov behind Milden in the battle for 5th. So into turn number 4 and now 5. Turn 6 is coming through and Busov had to lift off the throttle through there, and it looks to be the battle for the for 5th position over now as well. Van Lyck ahead of Hutchison, who's got Pavizel right on his tail. MGK is in there too. I think we've lost a car actually. Not quite sure who that is. We'll go back to the leader because Sean Cole is about to take his second victory of the season. A significant one as well at this stage of the season. He had to get the move done through the pit stops on Eldori to get the victory, and he's done just that. And a drive-through penalty has been given to Stuart Hutchison for track limits. There will be a time penalty as we are on the final lap. Sean Cole, the championship leader, shows why he is the championship leader. The Scotsman crosses the line to win in the Formula Racing League at Misano in Taco Tuesday. He takes a giant step towards the title with that win. Ahmed Eldori finishes on the podium yet again. He keeps himself in the running for the championship, no question. In 3rd place is Bruno Canavera, who gets the fast lap points as well. Mauro Arsenio is 4th. Ben Milden is 5th. Nikola Busov is 6th. And in 7th place, his best result of the season, it's going to go to Ben Gallagher. Well done to him tonight, despite a few melodies. He's brought the car home in P7. Well done to the Audi driver. Excellent job. Dermot van der Waal will be 8th. Niels van Moor will be 9th. And Stuart Hutchison will get a time penalty. So he'll drop back behind Pavizel and MGK. He'll be over the line in 12th place on track, but will get 11th position because of Hutchison's time penalty. It'll be 30 seconds added. So Hutchison will cross over, will be, I would say, 13th in the end. So for Pavizel will be 10th, MGK 11th. Disappointing even it has been for him tonight, despite making his way through the field before that drive-through penalty for track limits caught him out. So Moggs will go through, take the position away from Hutchison. So Hutchison will be down to 13th place. And Anderson will be in 14th place. And Smallhand will be the last driver on the lead lap. But there is your race winner. It is Sean Cole in Misano in Taco Tuesday in the Formula Racing League. Very, very well done to him. Just waiting for the remaining cars to complete their final lap, and we'll run down on the final classification. What you're seeing at the moment is not 100% correct at the moment, so that will update in a few seconds. .34 out on circuit. That is Pavizel, who's just coming back into the pit lane. I think the reason why we're waiting for the delay is because of Hutchison's time penalty, or Spano hasn't got over the line. I wonder if he's run out of fuel. Be interesting to know. If that's the case, then that will count as a DNF, unfortunately, for him. Personally, I don't think it should, but I don't make up the rules, unfortunately. Magnificent victory for Sean Cole. He increases the margin between himself and Ahmed Al-Douri. Here's your final classification then, after an exhilarating race at Misano. Sean Cole takes his second win of the campaign, with Ahmed Al-Douri coming over in second place. Bruno Canavera, after missing last week, is on the podium in third place and gets the points for the fastest lap. Mauro Arsenio is fourth, then it's Ben Milden and Nikola Busov in fifth and sixth. Ben Gallagher seventh, then it's Demian van der Waal, Nils van Lyck and Vagel Pavizl running out the top 10. MGK coming through from the back to P11, but that drive-through penalty had cost him dear. Moggs, the same for him, coming home in 12th. Stuart Hutchinson, 13th after the time penalty for track limits. Adam Anderson in 14th place, Smallham 15th, then it's Ice Dude, Ray Thomas, Fighter in 18th place. Andy Craven didn't make it to the end, unfortunately. I don't know if he had connection issues or something. He was up there in the midfield, but had problems towards the end. We'll see whether the stewards allow him the points. Lewis Robinson didn't make it to the end either. He had, I think he ran out of fuel. If that's the case, then it's a DNF for him. The same for Alex Spanu. Mike Conway didn't make it to the end. Will Freeman and Craig Law crashed out on the opening lap after Law accidentally hit the engine ignition switch. So in the championship, it's an increase of 2 points in the gap for Sean Cole. So what was a 5-point gap between himself and Al-Douri is now a 7-point gap. Arsenio, after finishing in 4th place today, he picks up 34 championship points. Because of that, he has picked up 6 points less than Sean Cole. So he is now 11 points behind him. And Melvin Crows, who finished in P11, that would give him 20 championship points. He has picked up 20 less than what the leader has done. So he had what he was 7 points behind is now 27 points off the lead. And Busov, by finishing in 6th, I think he's more or less out of championship contention now. He needs a minor miracle to even take the championship to the wire or keep himself in the running for the title going into Kyalami at the season finale. There's one round to come before that though, and that is Zandvoort in a week's time, same time next week. Thank you very much for watching. Do make sure you like and subscribe. Do feel free to check out all the other championships that is in the description below on this YouTube channel. You can find out how you can get involved as well. There's all the social media of which you can keep right up to date with everything involving the FRL. We'll leave it there. We'll do it all again in 7 days time. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.